Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Harmon, and today I will be discussing the adolescent development, focusing on the biological, cognitive, and psychosocial factors that influence this stage, along with how this knowledge applies to my future career. Adolescence is typically defined as the stage between about ages 10 to 18 years old, although the exact age range can vary slightly depending on cultural and social factors. It begins with puberty and represents the transition from childhood into adulthood. During this time, individuals experience major developmental changes across multiple areas. Physically, they go through rapid growth and hormonal changes. Cognitively, they begin to think more abstractly and develop more advanced reasoning and skills. Socially, relationships with peers become more important and they begin to seek more independence from family. This stage is also especially important because it is when identity formation begins. Adolescents start to explore who they are, what they believe, and what they want for their future. Because so many changes are happening at once, adolescence is often considered one of the most complex and influential stages of development. During adolescence, individuals go through puberty, which includes hormonal changes and rapid physical growth. At the same time, the brain is still developing. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision making and impulse control, matures later than other parts of the brain. Because of this, adolescents are more likely to engage in risk-taking behaviors, such as making impulse decisions or taking risks in situations involving peers. Another important part of the biological development is that these physical changes can also impact how adolescents see themselves. For example, differences in timing of puberty can affect confidence and self-esteem, especially when comparing themselves to peers. This shows how the biological changes are closely connected to social and emotional development as well. Research shows that the brain develops unevenly during adolescence. The reward system develops faster, while the cognitive control system develops more slowly. Because of this, adolescents experience increased emotional sensitivity, especially in social situations. This imbalance helps explain impulsive behavior. For example, teens may take risks when they are seeking excitement or approval from others. This also helps explain why adolescents may make good decisions in calm situations but struggle in high pressure or emotional situations. For example, a teen might know the risks of behavior but still make a different choice when they're with friends or experiencing strong emotions. According to Piaget, adolescents enter the formal operational stage. This stage includes the ability to think abstractly, meaning they can understand ideas that are not concrete. They also develop hypothetical reasoning, which allows them to think about what if situations. In addition, they improve their problem solving skills and begin thinking more about the future. This new ability to think abstractly also allows adolescents to question rules, beliefs, and authority. This can sometimes come across as challenging behavior, but it is actually an important part of developing independent thinking and forming their own identity. Adolescents also develop stronger social cognition, meaning they become better at understanding other people's thoughts and perspectives. This improves their social interaction skills and allows for better perspective taking. However, it also means they become more aware of how others see them, which can influence their relationships and self esteem. Because adolescents are becoming more aware of others' thoughts, they may also experience something called the imaginary audience, where they feel like others are constantly watching or judging them. According to Erickson, adolescence is the stage of identity versus role confusion. During this time, individuals explore their beliefs, values, and goals. This exploration helps them develop a sense of self identity. Peer relationships and environmental influences play a major role in this process, as adolescents often look to others while forming their identity. This process of identity development can include exploring different roles, interests, and social groups. For example, adolescents might try different friend groups, hobbies, or styles as they figure out who they are. Peer pressure tends to peak during middle adolescence, making social acceptance very important. Because of this, peer influence can strongly affect decision making. For example, adolescents may change their behavior or make certain choices in order to fit in with a group. However, research shows that this influence decreases with age, and individuals become more independent as they mature. It is also important to note that the peer influence is not always negative. Peers can have a positive influence as well, such as encouraging good academic behavior, participating in activities, or emotional support. This diagram shows a developmental imbalance in the adolescent brain. The reward system, which is associated with emotions and seeking rewards, develops earlier and is more active. On the other side, the cognitive control system, which is responsible for decision making and impulse control, develops more slowly. Because of this imbalance, adolescents are more likely to take risks, act impulsively, and be influenced by peers. Another important part of this model is that the social environment, especially peers, can make the reward system even more active. This means adolescents are even more likely to take risks when they are around others. This also shows why simply telling adolescents to make better choices is not always effective because their brain development is still in progress. Emotionally, adolescents experience increased emotional intensity and may go through mood swings. They are also more sensitive to feedback from others, especially peers and social media. At the same time, they are still learning how to regulate their emotions, which can make emotion responses stronger or harder to control. Over time, adolescents continue to improve their emotional regulation skills, especially as the brain develops further. This means that emotional responses become more stable as they move into adulthood. A common stereotype about adolescents is that they are simply rebellious or irresponsible. This idea is often used to explain behaviors like breaking rules, taking risks, or challenging authority. However, this view is an oversimplification and doesn't take into account what is actually happening developmentally during the stage. Adolescents are going through major biological, cognitive, and social changes all at the same time. For example, as we discussed earlier, their brain is still developing, especially the areas responsible for decision making and impulse control. At the same time, they're more sensitive to rewards and peer pressure, which can affect their behavior. Additionally, adolescents are in the process of forming their identity, which may involve questioning rules, exploring different beliefs, or trying new things. This can sometimes be interpreted as rebellion, but is actually a normal part of development. So instead of viewing adolescence as simply difficult or irresponsible, it is more accurate to understand their behavior as a part of a complex developmental process. In reality, adolescent behavior is strongly influenced by brain development. Their reward sensitivity is higher, and their decision making systems are still developing. Because of this, behavior is developmentally normal and not just rebellion. This shows that adolescents need guidance and support rather than judgment. Adolescent development is also shaped by cultural and environmental factors. Family relationships influence support and guidance, while cultural expectations shape values and behavior. Social media and school environments also play a major role in influencing identity and daily experiences. Understanding adolescent development will directly impact how I work with this age group in my future career as a school guidance counselor. For example, knowing that the brain is still developing, especially the prefrontal cortex, helps me understand that impulsive or risky behavior is not just intentional, but part of a normal development. This allows me to respond with more patience instead of frustration. It also helps me to improve communication by adjusting how I talk to adolescents in a way that matches their cognitive level, especially since they are developing abstract thinking but may still struggle with decision making in emotional situations. In terms of mental health, understanding their emotional sensitivity and social pressures allows me to better support them when they are dealing with stress, peer influence, or self esteem issues. Building trust is also important, especially since identity development and peer relationships play such a large role during the stage. Overall, applying research and development theories helps me respond to real life situations in a more effective and supportive way. For example, instead of reacting negatively to risky behavior, I would try to understand the underlying developmental reasons behind it. This approach can help create a more supportive environment and lead to better outcomes when working with adolescents. In conclusion, adolescence is a critically developmental stage influenced by biological, cognitive, and social factors. Developmental theories and research help explain adolescent behaviors, and this knowledge is important for supporting adolescents in real-world settings. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I look forward to hearing from you.